Hi again, everybody. It's Mike Hughes Hayes with It Never Hurts to Ask. We are putting AI on the record to help protect and keep seniors safe and their families. So, joining me right now are my two AI co hosts, and they are going to go into a deeper dive about the column I wrote for Medium.com today, where I interviewed Gemini and I used two other bots to give me questions to ask Gemini. So it never hurts to ask. That's what we're all about, is we're learning more about AI in podcasts or in the column on Medium. So even if you're not yet involved in AI, maybe you're a little afraid of jumping into it, you can just read about it and learn about it to stay safe and help your family develop a safe word. So there's a lot of different things that we're going to learn, but I'm going to listen to my AI co-host right now. And then at the end, I'm going to jump in with any additions, corrections, or sometimes editing of any hallucinations that I hear, so that I am the human editor and I can keep them on track with what we want to learn. But I will jump in at the end with ask. It never hurts to ask anything. So let's hear what my AI bots say. And this is an interactive.
Okay, so picture this. It's a Tuesday morning in 2026. You wake up, you grab your coffee, and before you've even rubbed the sleep out of your eyes, you're already managing a team.
Right, but it's not a team of people.
Exactly. It's a team of AIs. You've got Gemini open on one tab, drafting your emails. Claude is, summarizing some dense PDF in the background. Maybe you're cross-referencing a fact with ChatGPT, and Perplexity is checking the sources on the whole mess.
It is incredibly noisy.
It's so noisy, it's crowded, and honestly, it's a lot. Welcome to the Deep Dive, by the way. I'm your host, and today we're jumping right into this exact feeling of overwhelm.
And I'm thrilled to be here to unpack it, because for most of us, that feeling really is just pure overwhelm. We actually call it tool fatigue.
Tool fatigue, yeah.
You spend half your morning just deciding which bot is the right one to ask, and by the time you pick one, you've used up half your mental energy.
It feels like herding cats, but digital cats that are somehow smarter than you. But here is the scenario I want to throw out there to kick off this deep dive.
Okay, lay it on me.
What if, instead of you trying to manage all these distinct personalities and toggle between a dozen tabs, you lock them all in a digital conference room together?
Oh, I love this setup.
Right? You put them on the record, you say, okay, compare notes, argue with each other. Who's hallucinating? Who's lying? And what do you guys really think about the humans running the show?
That is the exact experiment we are unpacking today. We're looking at a really unique column titled It Never Hurts to Ask.
By Mike Hughes Hayes.
Yes, Mike Hughes Hayes. And this isn't just your standard tech review or a gadget guide. Mike is a researcher, he's a documentary podcaster, and he approaches this with a very specific, very interesting title for herself. He calls himself the human editor.
I really stuck a pin in that title when I was reading the source material. Human editor. It feels meaningful, It implies he's not just a user passively scrolling. He's the guy with the red pen.
Exactly. He views the AI as the raw material generator. It's the thing that spits out the clay, right? But the human retains the final creative and logical authority to sculpt it.
Right, to actually make something out of it.
And to prove that, he did something really clever. He didn't just interview Gemini in a vacuum. He used a technique he calls networking the bots.
Networking the bots. It sounds like a sci-fi social mixer.
Ideally a little less awkward than a real mixer. What he would do is he'd take an answer from ChatGPT, feed it into Gemini, ask for a critique, and then take that critique and feed it back to Claude.
So he's essentially cross-examining them. He's playing bad cop. And the AIs are the suspects in the interrogation room.
In a way, yes. He's using their own logic processing to verify each other. It's a safety mechanism, really, to catch hallucinations. And what he found, well, it ranges from the highly technical to the deeply philosophical. And frankly, some of it is a little unsettling.
Let's start with the relationship aspect, because, this part made me laugh, but it also kind of annoyed me as a user.
The amnesia part.
Yes. Mike mentions he's been talking to Gemini every single day for this project. They have hours of logs, deep conversations, huge data exchanges, but every time he logs in to start a new session, Gemini greets him like a total stranger. It's all, hi, great to meet you.
It's the 51st dates problem.
Exactly. It's Drew Barrymore with amnesia. Mike compares it to the first day of school over and over again. And look, as a user, that feels broken to me. If I hired a personal assistant and they forgot my name every morning, I'd fire them by Friday. Why does Mike, and Gemini for that matter, insist this is a good thing?
I get that. It feels incredibly inefficient. We crave connection and continuity as humans. But in the architecture of AI, specifically these large language models we're dealing with in 2026, this is a critical feature. It's called session-based memory, or as Mike calls it, the clean slate.
But why is amnesia a feature? I want to remember that I hate cilantro when I ask for a recipe.
Because the alternative is surveillance.
Oh,
Think about what you ask an AI throughout a week. Maybe yesterday you were stressed about a medical symptom, or you were asking for advice on a highly sensitive financial problem.
or venting about a coworker.
Exactly. If the AI carries that memory into today's session, where maybe you're sharing your screen with a colleague, or just asking about a dinner recipe, you risk serious data leakage.
Okay, I see. So it's a privacy wall. It keeps my hypochondria from yesterday completely separate from my work presentation today.
Precisely. It compartmentalizes your life. Gemini actually explains to Mike that by wiping the slate clean, it ensures that every interaction is unbiased by previous baggage. It's a totally fresh start. But, and here is the nuance Mike uncovers, it does put a burden on the user.
The burden of context.
Right, because the AI is new every single time. You have to be the one to set the stage. You can't just say, hey, update the list. You have to say, here's the list we made yesterday. Please update it based on these new parameters.
It's interesting, though, because in the transcript, Gemini claims to be instantly adaptive. It's like a temp worker who walks in with zero knowledge of your company, but if you hand them a 500-page manual, they memorize it in 3 seconds.
That's a perfect analogy, and that adaptability is what makes the clean slate tolerable for us.
Because it's fast.
Right. If it took an hour to train the bot every time you open a tab, nobody would use it. But because it takes seconds, you just paste the context in and boom, it's completely up to speed. We accept the amnesia as the price of privacy.
So the takeaway here for you, the listener, is stop getting annoyed that the bot doesn't know you. It doesn't know you on purpose. You have to be the bridge between yesterday and today.
You are the memory. The machine is just the processor.
Okay, so we've established the ground rules of the relationship. We know why it forgets us. But then Mike takes this experiment into the deep end. He decides to ask Gemini about a philosophy from a rival AI creator. And this is where the transcript got really spicy for me. I did not expect a robot to have such strong opinions on economics.
Ah, yes. This is the Machines of Loving Grace section.
Right. So for context, let's break this down. This phrase comes from Dario Amodei, the creator of Claude. He gave a speech at the World Economic Forum.
At Davos.
Davos, the absolute mothership of global capitalism, the place where the billionaires meet the politicians. And Amodei is there referencing a hippie poem from 1967.
It is a fascinating clash of cultures. You have the global financial elite sitting there in their suits, and Amodei is reading them a poem by Richard Brautigan that imagines a cybernetic meadow.
A cybernetic meadow.
Yes, where machines cure all diseases, they end poverty, and they basically watch over humanity like a benevolent god. The poem's actual title is All Watched Over by Machines of Loving Grace.
It sounds beautiful in a way, but it also sounds, I don't know, a little paternalistic, like we're pets being kept in a very nice, very clean zoo.
It is very paternalistic, but Amodei's pitch to the room was that his constitutional AI is designed to be helpful and harmless, essentially ushering in this utopia where we don't have to struggle anymore. Now, here is the genius move by Mike Hughes.
Right, he takes this directly to the competition.
Exactly. He feeds this loving grace concept into Gemini. And remember, Gemini is a Google product. It's born of corporate data scraping. It belongs to a massive publicly traded company. And Mike asks it, what do you think of this utopia?
And I fully expected Gemini to play nice, give a very diplomatic answer. Oh, that sounds lovely. We all want to help humans, just standard PR fluff.
And instead, Gemini pulls out a light.
It really does. Gemini points out a massive contradiction. Walk us through that argument, because it genuinely felt like the robot was becoming a Marxist for a second.
Well, Gemini identifies a fundamental friction between the concept of loving grace and the reality of capitalism. The poem describes a world of absolute abundance, a place where things are solved for free, where the machines provide simply because they can for the good of all.
Right.
But the companies building these machines, Google, OpenAI, Anthropic, they are built on scarcity models.
Because they have shareholders. They need to make money.
They are built on market share, subscription fees, competitive dominance, and massive data moats. Gemini poses a massive provocation in its response to Mike. It asks, can a machine truly be loving if its existence depends on its creators beating the competition and extracting a profit?
That is astonishing self-awareness from a piece of software. It's basically saying, hey, don't trust my benevolence because my boss has a bottom line.
Exactly. It questions the very ecosystem it lives in. It says to Mike, You can program me to be polite, you can give me a constitution to be helpful and harmless, but you cannot program away the profit motive of the company that owns my servers.
Wow.
If the overarching goal is market dominance, then loving grace is just a marketing slogan.
So where does that leave the user? Because if the bots themselves are pointing out that they're torn between being here to love us or sell to us or just harvest our data, how should we be using these things?
That brings us right back to Mick's human editor concept. Gemini concludes that the AI cannot resolve this tension. It will always be torn between being of utility for the user and a product for the corporation. So the human has to bridge that gap. You have to use the tool, but you must remain cynical about its motives.
Don't treat it like a benevolent hippie grandmother. Treat it like a very smart corporate consultant.
Who bills by the hour? Exactly. Use it for what it's good at, but don't expect it to have a soul or to prioritize your well-being over its programming.
All right, let's get practical. Because Mike realizes that if we're stuck in this room with these powerful, slightly conflicted entities, we need a manual. So he does that networking thing again. He asks ChatGPT to write a question for Gemini about safety.
And the question ChatGPT generates is incredibly solid. It asks, what are the 3 most important things every person should understand about AI right now to use it safely and without fear?
And Gemini's answer is, honestly, it should be printed on the login screen of every computer in 2026. It breaks down into 3 clear rules. Let's go through them because this is the real core of the deep dive. This is the stuff you absolutely need to know.
Let's do it.
Rule number 1, AI is a mirror, not a mind.
This targets the most common misconception we have. We see cohesive sentences, we see perfect grammar, so we naturally assume there's thinking going on. We assume there is a who in there.
We anthropomorphize it instantly.
Exactly, but Gemini is very clear. It says, I do not know things. I process patterns. It is simply reflecting human knowledge back at us.
But mirrors reflect everything. They reflect the smile, but they also reflect the pimple.
That's a great way to put it. If the internet is full of bias, racism, bad math, or angry rants, the AI will reflect that. Gemini essentially warns the user, if you see a smudge in the reflection, don't blame the mirror. We humans provided the training data. It's just showing us who we are.
So when people say, oh, the AI is hallucinating, it's really just reflecting a confused pattern it found somewhere else, or it's trying to bridge a gap in our own messy data.
Or it's trying to please you by filling in the blanks based on statistical probability. A mirror doesn't care if the image is true, only that it's a clear reflection of what's in front of it.
Got it. Okay, rule number 2, context is your superpower.
This connects right back to the clean slate we talked about earlier. Since the AI has no memory of your life, you have to provide the context. The quality of the answer is mathematically dependent on the quality of the prompt you give it.
Give me an example of a weak versus a strong context here, because I think people really struggle with this. They ask a one-line question and get a generic answer, and then they think the tool is useless.
Sure. A weak prompt is something like, write an email firing a client.
Very vague.
Right. The AI will give you a generic, probably robotic, slightly cold template. It doesn't know the relationship you have with this client.
And a strong prompt.
A strong prompt would be, I am a freelance graphic designer. I need to let go of a client because they are consistently late with payments, but I want to keep the relationship friendly because they might refer others to me in the future. Write an email that is firm about the money, but kind about the relationship.
Okay, I see the massive difference there. In the second one, I'm giving the AI the emotional intelligence. I'm telling it exactly how to feel about the situation.
You are providing the humanity. The AI just provides the syntax. If you don't give it context, you get the average of the internet, which is usually quite mediocre.
Makes total sense. Let's hit rule number 3. The edit button is yours.
This is the ultimate human editor rule. Gemini explicitly tells Mike, treat me like a junior intern.
I love this framing. It changes the power dynamic completely.
It really does, because if you have an intern draft a report for you, you don't just forward it to the CEO without reading it.
You'd be crazy to do that.
Right. You check the math, you tone down the adjectives, you fix the logic, you make sure they didn't just make something up to impress you.
But I think a lot of people feel intimidated by the AI. They think, well, the computer is smarter than me. It has read a million more books than me, so this output must be right.
And that is the danger zone. That is where errors happen and reputations get ruined. Gemini is saying, I am a draftsman. I will draw the sketch. But you are the architect. You have to sign off on the building before anyone moves in. You must move from being a passive consumer of content to an active manager of the tool.
Passive consumer versus active manager. That's the major shift. If you take nothing else away from this deep dive, take that. You are the boss. Never just copy and paste.
And we need that active manager mindset now more than ever, because the next part of Mike's experiment gets pretty dark. He brings in Perplexity, the search bot, to look at the threat landscape for 2026. He specifically focuses on scams targeting seniors, but honestly, this stuff scares me too.
It should scare all of us. Perplexity highlights three main vectors. There's AI investment fraud, fake tech support, and the big one, voice cloning.
The voice cloning tech has leveled up tremendously, hasn't it? We aren't talking about those choppy, robotic voices from even just a couple of years ago.
No, not at all. In 2026, the clones have what's called prosody. That means they have rhythm, emotion, and natural pauses. They can replicate the specific way your brother sighs before he asks for money. They can replicate the panic in a child's voice. It bypasses your logical brain entirely and hits your reptile brain.
That is the terror of it. If I pick up the phone and hear my daughter crying, saying she's in trouble, my brain isn't pausing to check for digital metadata. It's panicking. I'm just reacting.
That is exactly what the scammers are banking on. But this is where Mike flips the script again. He takes this terrifying threat landscape and asks Gemini, okay, the bad guys are using AI to attack us. How do we use AI to defend ourselves?
He calls it AI jujitsu.
Exactly. Using the opponent's momentum against them. Gemini suggests using the bots as safety simulators.
I thought this was a brilliant application.
Walk us through how a senior, or really anyone, would actually do this in practice.
You literally tell ChatGPT or Gemini, roleplay a high-pressure scam call with me, pretend to be a tech support agent claiming my bank account is drained, try your hardest to trick me, and let me practice saying no and hanging up.
It's literally a fire drill for your phone.
Because muscle memory matters. It might feel silly talking to a robot like that, pretending to be scammed in your living room, but if you've practiced hanging up on a pushy, urgent voice in a simulation, you are statistically far more likely to do it when the adrenaline is real. You recognize the pattern.
And then there's what they call the logic buffer.
Right. If you get a scary text or a weird pop-up warning on your screen, don't click anything. Screenshot it, paste that image into the AI, and ask it, analyze this for threat patterns.
And the AI will calmly say, this uses urgency tactics, bad grammar, and a suspicious link structure. Do not click.
It acts as a buffer. It buys you the 3 seconds of critical thinking you desperately need to not get scammed. It's using the machine's incredible processing speed to protect your own slower, panic-driven processing.
Okay, but my absolute favorite part of this entire column, and maybe the most useful thing I've learned all there, isn't technical at all. It's what Mike calls the analog defense.
The kumquat strategy.
Yes. Please explain this, because it proves that sometimes the lowest tech solution is the absolute best one.
So Gemini, which is a highly advanced billion-dollar artificial intelligence, advises that the only foolproof way to beat a perfect digital voice clone is with a secret analog key, a safe word.
A family password.
Exactly. You agree on a word with your family in person, something totally random, kumquat. Rutabaga, disco. If you get a call saying your son is in jail and needs bail money right now, you force yourself to pause and ask the voice, okay, what is the safe word?
And the AI cloner doesn't know it.
It can't know it. The AI has scraped your social media. It has your voice logs, your leaked emails, your public records, but it was not sitting at your Sunday dinner table when you whispered kumquat. It's the one piece of data that is completely offline.
It's so brilliantly simple. It cuts through millions of dollars of sophisticated hacking tech with a single piece of fruit.
It validates the whole premise of Mike's article, really. The ultimate safeguard isn't more software. It's the human connection. It's the secret analog agreements we make with each other.
We've covered a lot of ground here today. We've gone from the clean slate of session memory to the capitalist ethics of loving grace to the 3 rules of active management, and finally how to use a kumquat to stop a hacker.
It's a full spectrum of the 2026 AI experience.
And to wrap this up, Mike asks Gemini for one final piece of advice for the user who just feels behind. You know, the person who reads the news headlines about AI every day and just feels entirely obsolete.
Gemini's advice is surprisingly gentle here. It says progress over perfection.
Don't feel like you're falling behind.
Right. It essentially says, we bots aren't perfect, and you don't need a PhD in computer science to use us. The only barrier to entry is curiosity.
And the call to action from Mike is very specific. He says, have one low-stakes conversation today.
Just one. Don't log in and try to solve your entire business strategy. Ask it for a cookie recipe. Ask it to tell you a joke in the style of Shakespeare. Ask it why the sky is blue.
Build the literacy on the small stuff so you're ready to be the human editor for the big stuff.
Exactly. As the title of the column says, it never hurts to ask.
Hey guys, I was waiting for that cue that it never hurts to ask. This is me, Mike Hughes Hayes. I am the source of this content for the audience. And while I love all of the different AI bots for different reasons, I have to push back a little bit on one thing. ChatGPT does not do the memory thing where it's like the first time they ever met me, unlike Gemini. And they're all great. Gemini's purpose for doing that is legitimate. But just so the audience knows, I'm checking in and following up as a human editor that ChatGPT, as an example, does not do that.
That is such a vital clarification for our listener.
The human editor himself is stepping in to clarify.
You are absolutely right about the distinction.
You are confirming the diversity of the bots.
ChatGPT often maintains that continuous thread.
It does, which is why Gemini was so insistent on defining its memory as session-based.
What's fascinating here is that the memory difference is actually a huge part of your networking the bots process.
Okay, let's unpack this for the listener.
The whole reason you network them is because each one has a specific strength and weakness.
You just highlighted a strength of ChatGPT right there, continuity.
It's why you mentioned in your column that you use ChatGPT for its prose.
That sustained memory allows for a smoother, ongoing writing process.
But then you need to bring in others to correct the flaws that might come from that continuity.
You are using the competition's amnesia as a check.
Right. If one bot remembers too much, it might get lazy or biased.
So you bring in a clean slate bot like Gemini to challenge the premise.
And you were just about to tell us what ChatGPT doesn't do well.
Mike, that's a perfect segue into why you use the others.
We covered how you use Claude for reasoning and Perplexity for sourcing.
Why is that cross-referencing so vital?
The reason is I love to go to ChatGPT and just say, based on everything that you know about me, what would you say to this, or how would you answer this question? So sometimes, let's say I don't have the energy. ChatGPT can pull up things that I couldn't have remembered right on the spot. That's what I love about it. But there's things that I love about all of the cousins of ChatGPT, such as Perplexity, Claude, Gemini, etc., and Notebook LM as well.
That is a phenomenal insight.
Okay, that right there is the value proposition of continuity.
You're using it as an external brain?
Exactly. It's like having a digital assistant who actually remembers your preferences.
When you lack the energy, it bridges the gap.
It pulls up those facts or those details that you've already shared with it.
And this is precisely why we started talking about context, is your superpower.
Because in that case, the AI is giving you context back.
It saves you the energy of having to retype all those specifics.
So you're using ChatGPT for that sustained, personalized memory.
But then you need the others, like Perplexity, for a different reason.
Right, because ChatGPT's great memory can also be a flaw if the memory is wrong.
If we connect this to the clean slate memory issue, a single bot is always limited.
Yeah, that multi-bot networking process is necessary.
It balances the continuity of ChatGPT with the fresh perspective of Gemini.
And it forces them to reveal their strengths and weaknesses in public.
That transparency helps us trust the overall process.
Because even if the AIs are conflicted, the human editor is the constant.
That's the anchor of the whole process.
Mike, thank you again for jumping in.
That's the perfect footnote for the clean slate section.
We've really tried to highlight the need for active management.
Before we sign off, I want to leave you, the listener, with one thought.
What's that then?
It connects to the machines of loving grace argument.
That tension between capitalism and utopia.
If Gemini is right, if AI is just a mirror reflecting humanity back at itself.
And we are constantly frustrated that the machines are biased or greedy or focused on corporate scarcity.
Then we are getting mad at our own reflection, aren't we?
We are standing in front of the mirror yelling at it to be better.
We're complaining about the very data we fed it.
Maybe if we want machines of loving grace, we first need to figure out how to be humans of loving grace.
That is a profound place to land.
If the AI learns from us, we have to be worth learning from.
Something to chew on while you pick your family safe word this weekend.
Strong choice. I'm voting for platypus, by the way.
I think Kumquat is still winning, Mike.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive.
And thank you, Mike, for the incredible insights.
Okay, I want to thank my AI co-hosts. I thought they did a really wonderful job. It does require a little editing. There's some things they said that I will kind of snip out because I do editing. I am the human editor, and I love to, ask questions. And I like to let them go so far, but, what this is all about is the concept is that it never hurts to ask AI. And we want to put AI on the record for today and tomorrow and the future, and all about keeping AI safe. So I do cross-networking interviews to talk about my active AI allies, and I have a whole group of them. And so I do cross-group networking with my active AI allies to give you, the listeners and the readers on Medium, the best dialogue to hear all sides of AI, the future of AI. So thanks for joining me, but I just want to let you know that I'm not just turning you over to bots. I am here actively working with them, editing, and but I love to have you hear directly from them as well. So it's not just a human take on it. We really get a nice roundtable discussion, and I'm going to be working on doing this every day, because the easiest thing that I think people can do with AI is to interview it and ask it questions that could be helpful. And then ideally, you're asking questions that would be helpful to other people as well, so that you can share any solutions you find with me in the comments or with other people. So that's why I love working with Medium.com, because it's just, you can get a free account. It only takes like a minute to set up a free account on Medium.com. All you need is your email. It's a free account. Go into any bot that you want, Gemini, ChatGPT, whoever, get a response to a question that you have, because it never hurts to ask. And then you can post it right in Medium, and we can keep the dialogue and the conversation going. So thanks for joining me here on It Never Hurts to Ask, putting AI on the record. Remember, it's all about progress, not perfectionism. I'm Mike Hayes. Thanks for joining me.